Righto. Welcome everyone to this meeting here that's been called about the Terrorism and Other Legislation Amendment Bill, which affects firearms licensing, as we all know. First of all, if you've got a mobile phone, pop it on silent, please. Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
Right. We all know where the toilet is, surely. There's one there. There's more downstairs. Lift over there, I've been told. First of all, my name's Tony King, if you don't know me. I've just been asked to MC it and chair the question time, just to keep the meeting flowing. First person I'll call on is the local member, Richie Williamson, to say a few words.
Thank you, Kingy. Thanks very much, Kingy. And can I also thank you all for coming. Can I also thank Emma, who is live streaming this back to wherever it goes. Of course, there are a few people that contacted me, couldn't get here for a number of reasons. So Emma, at very short notice this afternoon, actually called up and said, look, I'll volunteer my time. So Emma, thank you. Is that a bit better? Can I also thank the people that are here to give you the information, particularly Joe Schultz, who is the commander of the Coffs Clarence Police. Joe, thank you for coming. We've also got Peter and Chris here, and they would be more familiar to you than I, but gents, thanks for coming along and providing us with the information as it currently stands. Matt Morris is going to talk a bit later too. I'm sure Matt is familiar with you. Matt's going to be talking on what this means for small business. And Andrew here, Krakenhorn, who you may or may not know, is representing the Rifle Club, and Andrew is going to talk about what it means for clubs as it currently stands. A couple of apologies. Kevin Hogan would love to be here tonight, and he's asked that I explicitly tender his apologies, as does Mark and Denny Eggins have also asked that their apologies be tendered to this public meeting. So I'm really glad that, Joe, you're here. I am not expecting Jo or her officers to get down into the politics of this. That's my job. And I'm really grateful, Jo, that you're here just to answer any questions there might be on fact. I'm more than happy to do the politics and slip the boot in where required. So can I just start about the legislation? And what I've done to the best of my ability is printed off the legislation as it now stands and provided you a copy of it. I'm not here to profess that that is 1,000% accurate. In fact, there is already an error on the front page after a High Court decision of yesterday that says, under the very first point, point 3, the Terrorism and Other Legislation Amendment Bill 2025 gives it. The New South Wales Labor government tightens firearm regulation, which it does, creates an offence for displaying a Nazi symbol or a terrorism symbol, which it does. The High Court has ruled point 3 is incorrect now, as they have ruled that it does not give police additional powers around public assemblies with regards to a terrorist act. The High Court has ruled that that is unconstitutional, so that point is already a moot point, and probably highlights how quickly this legislation was rushed through Parliament, literally, and I mean literally, on Christmas Eve. There is also a point that I do need to clarify with regards to, and my apologies, these pages aren't numbered, so they are the back page, but they could easily be confused for being the front page. When it says, do I need to be a club member to keep my licence? And it goes on to say, recreational hunting, vermin control, sport target shooting now require club membership. That is true if you want more than 4 firearms. If you want 0 to 4 firearms, you do not, under the current legislation, you do not need to be a member of a club or an association. From 4 to 10, under the current legislation, you will need to be a member of a club. And Andrew's here to talk a little bit more about that shortly. So I just wanted to thank everyone for coming. I engaged with a few members in the room here the days before the Parliament was recalled. And I just want to publicly thank the members of sporting shooter clubs that engaged with me very, very early. Your input and your guidance on this issue was extraordinarily valuable to me. And as we know, this legislation was rushed through and ultimately was supported by both houses of the New South Wales government. So a few issues that I have with the legislation is, well, firstly, the title of it. The government would not separate the Terrorism Act with the licensing of firearms. We moved that in the lower house in the New South Wales Parliament. The government used their numbers to ensure that that did not happen. So gun reform and the terrorism reforms were in one piece of legislation. And can I say that, and I said this in my speech in Parliament, good, decent, law-abiding citizens of New South Wales are now paying the price for a despicable act that occurred at Bondi. You know, the terrorism side of the legislation, ultimately the record shows I voted against. That was not ever my intent. The terrorism side of this legislation would have passed unanimously both houses of government, both houses of Parliament within hours. The legislation on that side of the terrorism, I'm pretty sure each and every person in this room supports. But what has happened is gun reform has been lumbered in with a despicable crime. A despicable crime that under this new legislation still would have happened because it hasn't caught the people that should have been caught with a weapon. So where to from here? We have tried very recently in the New South Wales Parliament to amend some parts of the legislation. That failed, and it failed both in our House and in the upper house of the Parliament. We tried in both houses and it failed. And it failed, and what we were trying to amend was this 10-4 rule to bring more flexibility into the legislation. The government have said that they'll bring flexibility into the regulation, which I fail to see how they can do that, but the government are saying that that's what they intend to do. I haven't seen draft regulation yet. In fact, I don't believe draft regulation exists yet. But when it does, I want to engage with as many of you as possible to ensure that the regulation is in your interests. I hope that at some point we may be able to do this again when there's a little bit more meat around the bones, if we can call it that, on what the regulation might mean moving forward. So look, I'm going to say a little bit more at the end because there are people in the room that are way more experienced than I in this stuff. So I think it's really important that we hear from them. We will wrap this up, the talking bit, as soon as we can, because I also think it's really important that questions are asked and, where possible, answered. It will be difficult to answer some of the questions simply because we don't know the answers, because the regulations haven't been drafted. We can tell you what the legislation says. In a nutshell, it's on that bit of paper. But how it works in everyday life still remains a mystery. So if there are questions later and I say, listen, I can't answer that, please don't think I'm being evasive, or I simply, and I'm being very truthful, I don't know the answer, because the answer may not exist. So thank you for coming. I do hope that you find this afternoon helpful in the dissemination of as much accurate information as we possibly can. And as I said, this is really important to communities that I represent, both in the Clarence and the Richmond Valley. And there are some people from Casino here tonight, and I thank you for making the effort. We all know how expensive fuel is at the moment. So I'll pass back to Kingy, who will introduce probably Joe Schultz and Chris and Peter, who will give a brief, probably you, Joe, give a brief update of where it's at, and certainly we'll take some questions at the end. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Richie. The next speaker will be Superintendent Joe Schultz of the Coffs Clarence Police District that takes in all this area. Joe has a lot of policing experience and is now in charge of this district. So I'll call on Joe.
Thank you. Look, thanks very much, and thanks for the invitation, Richie. I think any forum like this where we can provide good information, and I think being informed is forewarned is forearmed, and having information is probably the most powerful thing. So, as said, I'm the commander of the Coffs Clarence Police District, so we cover Bellingen LGA, Coffs Harbour LGA and the Clarence Valley local government area, so we have quite a large area. Approximately 200 plus police and some civilian staff that work with us as well. I have two licensing specialists that basically this is their bread and butter. So I'm not going to stand up here and pretend I have all the answers either. I'm a bit like, I've got the big picture, and in terms of the technicalities, which is the important things, I really do defer to Peter and Chris, who are both very experienced licensing officers, have worked in this area for an extremely long time, and will be able to provide a best overview of that. But I guess the important thing for us is that what we consider is that we're only here to enforce legislation as it currently stands. So it's not really our role to think of, we obviously know what might be coming and prepare for that. But in terms of what's the here and the now, we just focus on the legislation as it currently stands. And obviously that's our role, is to enforce that. So we don't really adopt a position one way or the other about whether something's right or wrong. We're just here to enforce the law. That's our role as the police. We're not part of any kind of other part of it. So, we'll obviously, as time goes by and we get a bit more understanding about when this legislation may come into effect and what it might look like, that's obviously going to be time for us to prepare for that and work with the community, work with obviously the dealers, work with the clubs in terms of, and the licence holders, in terms of how this is going to work. So we're obviously part of that process, and we're not here to be difficult about it. We're just here to make sure that those things happen in a peaceful and sensible manner, and that's what we just ask of people as well when they're engaged with this process, because we understand that this can be challenging and stressful and difficult for people. And, there might be people in your families as well who aren't here today, particularly some elderly people that may be really quite fearful about what might be coming and what that might look like. But we're here to reassure that we're not here to be difficult about it. We're here to reassure and work with the community. So without any further ado, I'll hand you over to Sergeant Peter Saunders, who's going to just give a bit of an overview of some of the key issues as we see it. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, thanks, ma'am. Richie, Kingy, good to see us. So, as it's been explained, I'm the licensing sergeant, so I've got the responsibility in relation to firearms. Licensing also includes hotels, so this is only one section of my work. But if we have a look when we come down to firearms and what they're talking about, there's currently a little over 1.1 million firearms in New South Wales, registered firearms, and there's just over 200,000 firearm licence holders. Safe storage locations, there's about 177,000 safe storage locations across the state. All right, so there's a lot of guns and a lot of places. All right, when we bring it closer to home, here, the Coffs Clarence, you heard ma'am speak about the local government areas. Well, in that area, in our area, there's 31,000 firearms in possession. 590, just short of 6,000 firearm licence holders across the three LGAs, and about 5,200 safe storage locations. So that says it's a lot of work for two blokes, all right, to do as part of their work. But there's the testing and the requirements to get your licence. That screening that you've already gone through says we've got the good people and the compliant people. All right, I reinforce that to the police all the time. If they've got a firearm licence, they're good people. All right, so don't think that police are demonising people with firearms. All right, because it's not the case. We know you've already been checked. All right. All right. Those people's opinions change. That happens. All right. So as the boss explained and Richie explained, we're can't really comment on what's going to come because we don't know fully ourselves, and whatever comes we'll pick it up and work out and do what our masters ask for us to do, and that's for down in Macquarie Street to work that part of it out. So here is us as with a group of firearm licensed people in the one room. The thing that I want to talk about is Section 39 of the Firearms Act as it currently exists, which is about taking all reasonable cautions to ensure the safekeeping of our firearms. All right, so whatever we're talking about, that's more than what I'm at. And I'll point to you, I got one of these. All right, so I got one too. All right, and I'm pretty sure you can go through this little exercise in your head or you can do it physically. Who's got one in their wallet? If you want to show, you don't have to. Just who's got theirs in their wallet? All right, no worries, excellent. All right, who's got their driver's licence in their wallet? So when you lose your wallet, you're showing the scum that picks it up where your firearms are. All right, so it's a simple and a reasonable thing that you don't store it in your wallet. All right, if you store it in your ammo box or with your gun, because you need it when you're going to buy ammo or when you're going to use it, but you don't need it when you're just driving around town. All right, so if nothing, can you please pick that up? So part of our job is going around to all the places where firearms are stolen from and seeing how firearms are stolen and how people are finding out they're stolen. And sometimes you don't know. Sometimes 6 months earlier there was a lost wallet or something like that that's happened. All right, so that's... Well, we don't know yet because they haven't discussed the information. So what I'm saying for that in relation to the changes is just wait until they put out the information. Then we can decide how much they're going to pay you for it, how much can you sell it for, the market's going to... Who knows? That's opinion that I can't give you. What I can give you is how you need to store your firearms as a category.
Like we all do. We already do that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly, but everyone that's got 25, 30, 60 firearms in category A and B licences, do they have a genuine reason to have 7, 12 shotguns or 22s or the old Enfields? Are they general? Anyway.
Can I just ask that we keep the questions until after the speakers have spoken? No need to apologise. We understand it's a very passionate situation for a lot of people. But yeah, if we could just listen to the talkers, then we'll take questions. If we can't answer all the questions tonight... Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So the safe storage comes in with that, and the safe storage that you need at level A and B, and the safe storage you need at level 9, which is a collector's categories, is quite different. And you not probably need to spend a fair bit of money to get a regular house up to level 9, to pass level 9 security. All right, that's what I can tell you, because that's what we do. There's some here we've done that for, and I'm not going to tell you how much money they spent. That's for them to tell you. But there is a big step, and I think if we've got valuable collections, it may be worth keeping that money and spending that money, and realising when you have to spend that amount of money to move your firearms to collect it, to be a collector, you might reassess the value and your want for the firearms. Anyway, so something else I want to move on to is the domestic violence, police seizing firearms. The police seize firearms basically in two general areas. Sometimes there's been some sort of family upheaval. The firearm licence holder might not even be a party to the disevil. It might be the son-in-law and the daughter or something like that. And the police come and the police take the firearm holder's firearms. I'm sure everyone's heard about this. All right, it can happen because it's the household or the family's been involved in domestic violence. So the firearms are seized. It's under Section 85 of LEPRA. Now, in these circumstances, the return of the firearm comes under LEPRA as well, and it's explained in the law. It says the person who's had something taken from them, so the firearm licence holder, has 28 days to make application to the superintendent to have them returned. That's 28 days to make an application for their return. There's the fact sheet there explains it as well amongst the papers over on the left-hand side if you're trying to pick them up. So it's not the firearm licence holder, it just happened in his house or with his kids, right? But the police take his guns. He writes and says, I had nothing to do with it, it shouldn't have happened, it's all sorted, whatever, someone's been arrested or haven't, it doesn't matter. It then goes through checks to make sure that things are safe, like the firearm safe storage is right, all right, that everything else is right, that we check before we return the firearm. That all isn't going to happen in 28 days. It's just that there's a lot of expectation when it happens, where firearm licence holders say, well, at 28 days, you're right, give me my guns back. It doesn't work like that. That's 28 days to make the application. How long it takes to assess the problems in that particular house takes as long as it's going to take to assess those problems in that house. The other side is suspensions. When the firearm licence, the police come and issue a suspension, and that may be for anything from a medical reason, medical concerns, unlawful acts, criminal behaviour, who knows. But once this is firearm suspension is noticed, the entitlement to hold and possess firearms is removed. So the police take the guns. All right. Once a suspension's been issued, the only people that can reinstate the licence is the firearm registry, which means they'll do a full review. All right, and then after their first review, there's a second appeal to a higher level in the office, and then that's the review periods process in relation to a firearm licence suspension. All right, so they're things that we want in the communities for people to understand, because I understand and receive that their concerns in relation to when it happens, people say they didn't know about it, so those things should be spread about. Now, over on the left-hand side here, we've got a fact sheet about that domestic violence information and the seizure of firearms in that circumstances. We've got the Cat 1 safe storage level and the Cat 2 safe storage level information sheets and the level 9 safe storage fact sheets. So when we look at that, they're things that when people might be making decisions, and if and when that information comes from the government, they're the things that you want to be reading to work out what decisions you might want to be making. We've also got over there the transport of firearms, what and how you should be transporting your firearms, the information on that. So that's pretty much standard information over there. And there's also a fact sheet in relation to the police portal as to what you can and can do on the police portal and what information you can get out of that. I spoke to Richie earlier, and a lot of the questions, I'm not a phone affair, but my smartphone, I asked it some pretty questions in relation to firearm licensing. What section does this relate to? And the artificial intelligence is telling me the answers there. So I'm not saying it's always right, but it's worth looking in there to get an answer as well, because it'll tell you what section to go, and then you can go and actually read the legislation to help you out with that. Did I miss anything? All right, we'll leave it there. Any questions at that stage? That's where I'm at, and that's where we're at is what we can stay at this stage.
With the safe storage of firearms, mine has been inspected twice over the period of time I've had it.
Yep.
With no notice.
Yep.
And it's passed.
Yep.
Do you know, has that safe storage been changed with conditions of storage at all?
Okay, so your safe storage should be checked, and the police there's a lot of guns, as I explained, and so we're periodically checking firearms, which ones and how. Sometimes they're triggered by the firearm registry asking to go and have a look at these guns or these type of owners or these things, and we get across through there. So we do a lot. I'd hate to see the number of how many we're doing a year, but
Anything been changed that you know of?
as to what's required, well, it depends, because the person that assessed in 2013, what they considered not easily penetrable and what I consider not easily penetrable is quite different. In that, I could say the old boot locker, the change room lockers, I think a lot of people used to use them with the staple and clasp on the front. I can easily tell you I can get in that with a claw hammer, so that's easily penetrable. All right, so if you've still got one of them, get rid of it. The new legislation, well, if it comes and when it comes, is talking about commercially purchased, commercially built. I think to get the homemade or repurposed cupboards sort of removed out of it. But that was what I'd say about if you've got, why did they have to come back again? And there's other people, each time you get a gun, you get a different gun or a different site. If you've got so many, you've moved house, they want you to do another safe storage inspection on the new place to make sure you've moved. So the police go to everybody's house, so I don't think it's a thing to worry about.
If we can, just keep the questions till after all the speakers have spoken. And like Pete said, there's a lot of information over there that you could access, but there will be a question time after we've heard all the speakers, because we want to get all the information that we've got out to you. Okay. The next speaker, local businessman, former police officer, Matt Morris. Come on up, mate.
Hey guys, thanks for coming and thanks for organising this, Richie. Richie's asked me to chat about what it means for local businesses, and we're on the same page as you guys, and like many of us here, don't know the direction of where it's going. Oh, sorry. I'm not going to yell at you guys. Yeah, so Richie's kind of asked me to chat about what it means for us, and oh, good. Okay, sorry. What we understand is what is in the media and what is being gazetted by Firearms Registry. We do understand that there's a lot of frustration going on and a lot of stress. We try to give you guys as much information as we know. We're not going to make up things. If we don't know it, we'll just say that to you. But what we're trying to do is as a business, we're trying to give you the info straight from Firearms Registry, straight from what's being gazetted. And that being said, we're all in this stressful time together, so work with these guys. You know, Firearms Registry, I speak to them pretty much every day. They're working the best that they can to service everyone. So obviously goes without saying, businesses, it's slowed us down completely because no one can purchase firearms because of all the PTAs are being processed individually. It's not automated anymore. But what I think we should really be focusing on is and this is my personal opinion, instead of just worrying about the one pump action, whatever we've got or whatever, we should be focusing on and working with Richie, sending letters to his office and voicing the concerns. And I believe the biggest concerns are what the buyback will look like. Are we going to have protections under the federal constitution for that? What is that going to look like? What are the timeframes going to look like? I've already mentioned being patient with everybody working in the background, the firearms registry, the local cops, but also being patient with clubs. Andrew will chat about that in a minute, but because of the limits of numbers, you're allowed to have 10. A lot of sports shooters have more than 10 at the moment, but if they don't have that category target on their license, there's been an influx of license holders going to clubs and trying to join. So these are all volunteer organisations. Andrew will touch on it. Sorry, stealing your thunder a little bit. But be patient with them as well. They spend their own time to try to get the clubs running and try to provide a great service, so be patient with them at the same time. And I'm happy to field some questions now quickly if we've got time, Kingy, or later on I'm going to hang around. But essentially it's an unknown for everyone. It is very stressful for everyone, and just work with everybody that's already working in the background. So thanks, guys. And because Kingy's not here, I'll do his job for him. Yeah. Can you come up here?
Kingy's got to get another microphone.
I'd just like to know where Matt is in relation to me. I don't want him behind you.
Would you like it closer?
My name's Andrew. It was great to be invited by Richie here today. I'm not from around Grafton. I haven't been here for 4,000 years, but I'm learning quickly. And one of the things I saw when I first came here was when all this kicked off, we had a quick meeting at the Souths Club. That's when I first met Richie. And I saw him ask my good mate, his good mate, Al Edwards. He was saying, like, what's the process here? How do you get a gun? What do you do? I'm the Vice President of the Grafton Rifle Club. And when I get nervous, I speak really quickly. So don't ask me anything hard. Anyway, Richie asked Al what the process was. And I was like, I thought most politicians were, sort of arrogant asses, really. And to see such a humble man ask such a good question, I was like, that's great, What's bloody happened to my microphone? Anyway, Grafton Rifle Club. Right, Grafton Rifle Club's been out there at various places for about 135 years. Brownie's not that old. He has been there for a long time, but we've been there 135 years, and the Rifle Club itself, we look after, sort of own the dirt. And on that, there's other clubs, lots of other little clubs, stakeholders that then report to us and use the range for various things. So we have police out there, we have Serco out there, we have national parks, we have SSAA, small ball club, lots of other people that use our range. We all use it on different days. So if you're a firearms owner and you want to have 10 rifles or 10 guns, whatever, and you want to come to the Rifle Club, we will have something for you. We are very open to having new people coming into the club. If you haven't been to a club before, do you have to do what the range officer says? Yes, you do. So, if you go, the range officer told me to pull the bolt out, well, that's just what you have to do. That's how people have a safe environment in which we organise ourselves to shoot. Okay? But why would you like to come and shoot at Grafton Rifle Club? Well, because we do great stuff. We engage the target at very long distance, and it requires a concentration and discipline and really good gear in order to do it. It's like noisy golf, except more fun, because it smells good when you let those rounds down. So one day we'll get Mr. Richardson on a 308 at 500 yards, I guarantee it. Where's he gone? He's fast too. He's like Matt Morris. I wanted to mention one more thing. There's lots of members of Grafton Rifle Club in the crowd, so we can have a chat afterwards. One more thing about the media. and social media within this situation. And I've discussed this with our club members initially when it first kicked off. So these things are wonderful, you know, everything a human's ever done is accessible to your fingertips. But if you're looking at Facebook and Instagram a lot, there's a thing called an algorithm. And my son calls that the algo dad. He's 21 and he knows everything about mobile phones. The algorithm within the app, so with Facebook, it loves to give you what you want because then it places ads in front of you. So if you like Holdens and you press the like button on a Holden, all of a sudden on your feed there'll be heaps of stuff about Holdens. If you like Fords, vice versa, heaps of stuff about Fords. If you like something about the gun movement or anti-terror or whatever it is you're doing on Facebook, it will feed you more of that stuff. And if you're a deep thinker like me, sometimes that's too much. So I encouraged our members, when this was going on, because it was bloody media was on it 24/7, to put it down, turn it off, and just do something normal. Clean your rifle, reload some bullets, go and annoy Matt Morris down the shop. The fact that a lot of our older members were getting too much inside their own heads because some grandson had showed them how to use Facebook and it was just all about the gun laws. It was just too much. It's like, just calm down, turn the stupid thing off and enjoy your sport. One last thing I just want to say. For about 30 years, it seems that as a licensed firearms holder, I feel like we're easy pickings for the government with media. And I'm a member of a club that's been there for 130 years. I pay my taxes. I have safe storage for my firearms. I do everything correctly. Occasionally I get invited to go and hunt a wild dog out in the bush, and that's great. Occasionally we go to other rifle clubs and participate in competitions. All of my stuff's compliant because I want to enjoy the sport. And if there's people that don't want us to enjoy the sport, I would say to you guys, let's do the sport more. Let's go and hunt more. Come to the rifle range and shoot more rounds off. Go to the shotgun club and break some more clays. Participate in the sport. Get other people in the sport. Sign your missus up. You know, they think that, well, I think that a lot of people in Sydney and the other major centres of Australia, they think of us as somehow being, you know, if we want to go and hunt pigs or whatever, we're some sort of rednecks or whatever. Well, we're not, you know, we're not. So participate in the sport, shoot lots and have fun, and come and join the rifle club. Come and have a look if you want. Come and have a look at what we do, but you probably won't beat young Brownie straight away. That might need some practice. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks Richie. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Well, that's the overview of what's actually occurring. I think, as you can hear, there's people on your side up here that are not happy like you. So, respectfully, we'll go into a question session now. But if we could keep the questions a little bit higher than personal, your personal circumstances, because the police and the firearms registry can answer all them if you reach out to them. So, do we have any questions on up the back there? Hang on.
Yeah, I'm pretty loud.
Name first.
I'm a competition handgun shooter.
Yeah, can we just have your name first? So we. Thanks, Trev.
I travel interstate, attending competitions and Christ knows what. Of the disciplines I shoot in the handgun matches, for all the divisions in those matches, I have 8 handguns, the different divisions. So, just a question for the licensing sergeant. With the so-called 10-round limit, is category H included in that 10-round limit? Because I also have target category A, target category B, and I also hunt. So if I've got 8 category H firearms, I'm already behind the 8 ball. How hard is it going to be to get a commissioner's permit to have more than 10? Is it going to be like winning lotto, or is it going to be reasonably easier than that?
I've got a short answer. I don't know. They talked about regulations. When the regulations come down, the answers are there. You'll read them. You'll have the problems. I'll read them. I'll work out the solutions.
No worries.
All right, cheers.
Good way to answer it. Any other questions? Up the back?
Yeah.
If you... Do you want the mic?
No, she's good. My name's Williamson. I'm a recreational hunter. I honestly have no interest in joining a rifle club and going out Saturdays and shooting at targets. However, with this new laws coming in, for me to keep the rifles that I have, I must join a club. Now, will there be some sort of setup for the club for recreational hunters that really have no interest in going out there on a Saturday and shooting at a target?
We do have the Clarence Valley Hunting Club that you can join.
Can we?
Send you out for a good delivery.
Right, beautiful. The other question I
Those
have...
guys are coming over to our club.
Beautiful. The other question I have, you mentioned bringing the missus in. I have a good one for legislation here. Question. My wife is not an Australian citizen. Now, if the new gun laws come in where you have to be an Australian citizen, is there possibly some way for her to have a licence under my supervision, such as minors are here?
When the regulations come out, we'll know.
Right, yes, because I know...
That's it's going to keep coming.
Yeah, but it's...
Under the legislation, you're, as it is at the moment, your wife would be excluded.
Exactly. So it takes that away from her.
Yeah.
So it no longer becomes a family sport, does it?
Well, it comes down to...
So
that's where it is.
it's something to put forward for legislation in that regard, where, yes, she may not be a full holder, she may be something like an associate licence that she can only use under my supervision, such as a minor can only use under a fully licensed.
Richie has noted that point. We good? Next. Stand up, please, just so we can see the whole...
The reclassification of firearm I used earlier, for example, a pump action rimline with fixed magazine. Where are we at with that? And also semi-automatic airgun, which I possess, and I think the rate lines or something at the moment. What's going to happen there?
Richie,
I can probably...
the mic.
I'm going to try and answer your question the best I can, and if I get off track, this bloke's going to poke me in the back and give you the real answer. As far as I understand in the legislation, if it holds more than 10 rounds and it's a pump action, she's all over. Correct? Yes.
Most of those pumps will hold.
And Maddie's saying most of the pumps will hold more than 10. That's what the legislation says.
Okay.
Sorry. So I voted against it, by the way.
Yeah. So pump action, 22, fixed magazine, over 10, finished.
believe so, yeah.
What about semi-automatic?
What category do you have on your licence?
So I'll answer the question, but A, B.
But it's relevant to your question that you're asking.
So unless the regulations magically change the legislation, which personally I don't think it can do, but if the regulation is different to the legislation, you might get a reprieve. But the legislation, under the current legislation, under the just about to be law legislation, actually is law but it hasn't been enacted. The legislation that went through on Christmas Eve, you're out. Or that weapon is out.
Is there a possibility of fixing
Hang on.
mags and stuff?
Hang on.
Sorry.
Let's
By
go back to
answering his question, I'm saying, I know I come from interstate, I've got to change the stock out because you don't like firing stock.
Hang
so
on,
maybe
hang on.
change the tube mag or something.
You can go next.
So I hope that it answers your question to the best of my ability anyway.
Okay, so tell me on that again.
Cool to, yeah.
Under the current legislation. Yes, you're up.
There might be opportunities to modify guns to
As
within the limits, maybe.
as we've heard,
I'm out hoping.
as we've heard, until we see the regulation, we're just not going to know. Questions? Down the front here. Stand up, please. Name.
Yeah, I'm Alan O'Sullivan. I was just wondering for licence charges for collector's licence. Can I take 10 from A and B with the all proposals, put it on my collectors, and then take 10 from my collectors and put it on my A and B, like switch them around to shoot, because you're not allowed to shoot firearms on your collectors.
Peter.
Yeah, that's right. A collector's licence is for possession only. All right. So to fire that firearm, all right, you have to have the relevant classification of. So if you've got long arms and you get a collector's licence and you get a handgun, you can possess the handgun, all right, but you can't shoot it. But if you've got a H licence, I believe you can.
Well, and I'll let us switch it in between, like say, well, some of my collectors can switch it back.
They're registered on your G licence,
Yeah.
right? But you should be able to use it. That's my understanding.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks,
If
mate.
you've got the right classification
Yeah.
to use.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
Quick. Over here. Stand up, please. Just the name, so we know.
My question is to the police.
Yep. Loud if you could, so everyone can hear it.
About not carrying your licence in while it gets stolen. Can you confirm or deny the firearm registry was hacked by Chinese optics 6 years ago?
I've never heard of that.
Fact.
Well, you're telling me it's a fact, all right?
Richie?
Yeah.
Richie, look. Listen, with the vote on the firearm act, did you vote against it or did you vote with your party?
I did both because all of my party voted against it
And then why did you get through it?
because we're not the government. The government used.
So you didn't have the numbers?
No, and we
They
still,
didn't have the
still
numbers.
don't.
So why wasn't it screened at the Men's government? We're talking about well-fed shotguns which are non-existent.
Correct.
By their own act, they say for poverty practice, they recommend 7 different calibers to shoot vermin. And yet we're restricting them to 4.
Not me.
No, the government. But
The government.
why wasn't they hammered at it?
Oh, we hammered them. We hammered them until 3 a.m. in the morning. The Labor government have the numbers in both houses of Parliament, and they used
You
it.
ever change it if you ever get the Liberal government?
Terrific question, and the answer is we will. And the next question should be, well, how are you going to do that? I will absolutely commit, and we as a party have committed to working with each and every one of you and your clubs in the room to work through how we can repeal sections of the legislation, and we will absolutely do that. And that is an undertaking that I will give every one of you, anyone who will listen to me. We will work through the issues and we will repeal parts of the legislation. And I'm happy for that to be replayed anywhere, any day of the week.
And to do that, they need to be a coalition needs to be elected into government.
The Liberals voted against everything. Why would you elect the Liberals?
So that's also a very, very, very good question and a very fair question, I have to say. If you could just put yourself into Kelly Sloan's position where she's just seen 15 people murdered in her electorate, the government refused to separate the terrorism legislation and the gun legislation. They refused. They actually voted against our motion to do so. She was put in a very, very difficult position because she's just seen an atrocity that we have never seen in her electorate. So, yes, a very, very fair question. we have had extremely detailed conversations with the Liberal Party, and we will be making some announcements, I thought it was going to be today, very, very shortly about where to from here as the cover issue. So, very fair question to ask. And if they had split the legislation as we wanted them to, we would be having a very different conversation. There were the two members of the Liberal Party who crossed the floor and voted with us. And I can tell you, things are going to change on that point. But absolutely a fair question.
Over here.
My name is I'm a shooter. Question for you, Richie, probably won't have your answer, but I've got a couple anyway. Yeah. Mate, a few days ago, I was talking to New South Wales, I saw some protesters who were out and go out there and wave their flags down, spit pictures on all that sort of stuff. Would we have a chance if they didn't pass it unconstitutional? I think this is much more unconstitutional things I've seen, where a government can say, you can't do that. We know government's allowed to do it. But they can turn around and say, all you 930,000 shooters don't have a voice. It's gone now, except for people who try and do this. Well, my question is, once that higher court squash that protest rule, surely we can stand up and say, why can't we do the same with this one?
Yep, great question, Jim. And I'm aware that the Peak Association is certainly, your Peak Association is certainly looking at their legal avenues with regards to the legislation. If I could make a comment about the High Court, it's the same High Court that allowed 90,000 protesters to walk on our Sydney Harbour Bridge. So I think we should be looking at the High Court. But that's just me. Let's keep on track. So yes, yes, Jim, I understand that your Peak Association is certainly looking at the constitutional side of the law. Now, where that goes to from here, I can't answer, mate. But I am aware, and I have had discussions with your Peak body and the executive of it, of where they're going to, or not. They're certainly looking at it, mate. Yeah.
Questions?
Is there any scope for... Sorry. Is there any scope for, obviously, government to actually start investigation in ASIO? It seems to be, ASIO is essentially got a whole against here. And because of the swept up right, and there's offshooting trying to obviously defund dump.
Yep. The answer to that is yes. The federal government were dragged kicking and screaming to commit to a royal commission, and that royal commission should do exactly that. It should examine the inner workings of ASIO. It should examine the failures of agencies, and it should examine the failures of federal legislation. And as I said at the start, the legislation that was rushed through on Christmas Eve would still allow this atrocity to happen again under the legislation. So, to answer your question, Brownie, yes, it should be, and I believe the Royal Commission and its terms of reference will allow that to happen, as it should.
Okay. We're good? Right. As you've heard tonight, there's a lot of information there. There's a lot of unknowns still there. So it's a matter for Richie and the other people to actually try and get some more information when it's available, and perhaps a similar meeting like this might be forthcoming again. But thank you everyone for coming along. Your input has been valuable.
Can I just say something before we
Most certainly.
Can I just add to that? One of the great dangers when I thought about calling this meeting was people would leave the room underwhelmed with the amount of information that I was able to provide to you. I don't want that to happen. I understand that the information that I've been able to provide
sketchy. But that is not my doing. That is the government's doing, because the regulations don't exist. So I'm hopeful that nobody leaves thinking this was a waste of time, because I don't think it was, and I hope that you don't think it was. I'm happy to commit to another meeting at exactly the same as this, once the regulations become known to us all. I have previously spoken with the Police Minister about the regulations. I've spoken to her about the timelines of the regulations. I've spoken to her about public input into the regulations. I want to engage with every one of you in the room as licensed firearm owners about what it means for you and how the regulations could or should reflect your use of your legal right. So, Kingy, thanks for you. Thanks certainly to each and every one of the contributors. I hope, and I'm genuine, I hope this has been at least fruitful, so the flow of information has started. The last thing I want is anyone to walk out and say, well, that was a complete and utter waste of time, simply because I don't have the answers to the regulations and the questions that you might have. If you have questions offline, grab me before you go. If you want to do it via email my office. If you want to call in and see me in my office, please do so, because I want to engage with each and every one of you to ensure that your voice is heard when I go back to Sydney, when this comes up before the Parliament again. So genuinely from me, thank you for taking the time and coming along.
I've got one more.
One more question.
Yeah. It says if you own 4 firearms or less, you don't have to join a fire club membership.
Yeah.
On the other side here, it says the holder licensed person must now be a member of an approved club or shooting.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. You might not have been in the room at the very start, perhaps, when I said that is my error. The one on the back should say. The one on the back should say 0 to 4. Yeah, that's my error, and I will change it.
And any individual.
So did the superintendent of police.
Yeah.
Who picked it up within 8 seconds of picking up the bit of paper.
And Superintendent Schultz has said that if you've got individual questions on your circumstances at the moment, contact the cost clearance licensing section, and they can answer those queries. Okay? Yeah. All right. Oh, one more.
What sort of
Time frame?
for the regulation change? What is it, a year away, 2 years, 6 months?
Is that working? Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, we're on. I can't answer that. And that's not a cop-out because I don't know. I have heard that it will be September, October for a draft. But, you know, don't hold me to it. But that's what we've heard.
Okay, we're still up in the air. That's really up to the government.
And if you want to come back when the regulations are out, I'm happy to reconvene and do this again. I'm more than
Okay, thank you, everyone. And a round of applause for our speakers tonight, please.
Plenty of buttons.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, it's not listening on a few up. That's fine.
Why am I here right? 117 the slugger. Why are they included? Richie, I was a 16-year-old in the 60s out in parks. I could walk in there at years age with my box of 22 rifles carrying my 22 on my shoulder and nobody batted an eye on me. Thank you. I want to thank you. It's activity that generates results, and without that we don't get it. So thank you.
But I haven't learned that much.
Well, you can.